start the recording. Okay, you already know me, so I won't present myself again. I'm joined by project partners Industria Scenica and Vimodrone, whom you've met the last time as well, Isnaba Miranda, Paola, Cagna, and Ermanno Nardi, and they are the management team in Italy. Paola will also be a co-host today, like she was in the previous webinar. And we are joined by part of the project team, part of the artistic team. So I say hello to Smaranda Găbudeanu, who is the actress who controls the robot and who plays the robot character, in fact, and Giovanni Longhin, who is the actor embodying Lorenzo Visconti, the charismatic character who is the Italian husband in Italy. Okay,
thank you.
Great. And we are joined by Bianca Trifan. Bianca will be part of the Q&A session because we have invited more people from the team to answer any questions you have about the process. Bianca, can you hear us? Okay, now she should be able to hear us.
Yes.
So Bianca is the co-writer of the theater play. And we should soon be joined by Camilla Brison, who is the co-director of the performance in Italy. Okay, so without further ado, I will start by presenting briefly the creation process of 2032 Smart Family. And then I will give the word to Paola, who will introduce the Industria Scenica team, and then we will move on to Smaranda. And in the end, we'll have the Q&A. Okay, so sharing the screen. Okay, so I will talk a bit about the Creative Europe program. Then I will offer an overview of the creation process of the performance. I will describe the technical setup and we'll go briefly over the production challenges and opportunities of this performance. So the Creative Europe project program is the largest and most prestigious funding program of the EU. So when you apply for European funding under this program, you compete with organizations all over the Creative Europe countries. So not only the EU countries, but more countries who take part in the program. And the rate of success is therefore quite low. Like when we applied, it was about 30%. So our project is a small-scale cooperation project, and we obtained the maximum grant for this kind of project, which was 200,000 euros. But this is only 60% of the project value, because under the rules that we had when we applied, we had to contribute 40% of the project value. Now the rules have changed a bit, so you only have to contribute 20%. So it's more flexible. And you need minimum 3 partners that need to be organizations. So if you're a physical person, you cannot apply for Creative Europe funding under this particular program. And the project leader is assessed for operational and financial capacity, unless it is a public organization, and they assume that if you're a public organization, then you have the necessary funds. So that was when we applied. Now the rules have changed a bit, so it's more flexible to apply. Okay, so in terms of 2032 Smart Family, the creation process lasted about 21 months, because we include also the technical preparation, like the research into technical solutions, taking interviews with migrants, and all the preparatory work. And actually, the project was written in 2019, so it was quite a long time between the moment of writing the application and actually doing the performance. And it's important to know that anything you write in the project application binds you contractually. So you need to do all the things you have written. So some of the elements of the performance were contoured in the application phase, like the fabula, the generic characters, the telematic setup, and also the technical aspects of the robot. So an important phase was co-writing the play with Bianca Trifan. And we focused on having a modular structure that would allow flexible staging. because we wanted to have like two performances that are like two sides of the same coin, but to have some independence in each of the two spaces. So that's why we inserted scenes with local only action, which was like a teleplay for the remote audience, not only scenes in which the characters interact. We also have recorded transitions. So between the realistic scenes, there are some moments that represent the space of the character's consciousness, and we hear their monologues and their memories. So these are pre-recorded and happen between the scenes. So writing the play lasted about 4 months, but we revised the play based on workshops with students from Romania and in Italy when we tested some aspects of the play. So we asked them to read the play together and give feedback. So the play also suffered multiple revisions during rehearsals. So we cut a lot of the monologues and shortened some scenes because the actors' input was invaluable also for defining the play. The rehearsal process was quite long, and it started in Romania with a 6-day joint rehearsal in the same space, because we had to have like a common basis for building the play afterwards. And then we moved on to Telematic rehearsals. So basically we would work locally and then come together and join the scenes that we had rehearsed independently. The technological development, as I was saying, lasted quite a long time. So only the robot took about 9 months to be built. And it was built by a big team coordinated by Cristian Iordache. And the robot was programmed and refined mechanically by the first robotics company in Romania, Bucharest Robots, with a brilliant engineer called Marius Dumitrescu. So about the technology, what does it entail? Like we had a live video montage between 2 cameras in each space. You can see them in the image. These are robotic cameras, PTZ, meaning that they can pan, they can tilt, they can zoom remotely. So you can control them remotely. So we created a local montage in each performance space and broadcast it to the other space. So we would choose what the others could see. However, in emergency situations, we could also select our own cameras. Like if the person in the other space had chosen something that was not good, we could switch it, which was a very flexible application, and it was very good. So we could also choose to project our own cameras in our own space. And we had like several projection modes, 2 big screens. And the main screen was like the main communication screen between Romania and Italy. And the second screen was mainly used during transitions, in Romania only during transitions, to represent the consciousness of the characters. You can see the consciousness space. It was like a holographic projection in each country with a portrait of the characters and pre-recorded monologues. And this is like the interface, the video interface. You can see how complicated it was. And we switched between multiple presets and control of the cameras and so on. And during the performance, the technical teams were permanently in touch via WhatsApp. So I was in touch with Camilla all the time, and we would synchronize the action, including the start of the performance. About the robots, Smaranda will tell you more, so I won't insist. But it's important to note that the robot's face, which was a real-time animation, could be shown simultaneously on screen in Romania and in Italy. And this was a solution that we foresaw from the beginning in the project application, because we wanted the Italian audience and actors to have direct access to the robot, because otherwise it would have been just a remote robot on a film. Okay. So these are some reflections on the production process. So I tried to compare like the 2 organizations and to identify some of the challenges and opportunities in the production process that arise from these differences and similarities. So even though we are different institutions, like we are a public theater, while Industria Scenica is a private cultural organization. I grew tired, sorry, of speaking. Both of us would risk losing money per representation. So if we were to continue the performance in a ticket sale paradigm, the costs of putting one representation would be more than we would be able to earn from ticket sales. So basically, the EU funding was an opportunity to produce a performance that actually surpasses our normal production means. So this is great, but unfortunately, it's impossible to sustain the performance after the end of the project. Another challenge might be that we don't have the full staff working permanently in the project. For example, the technical staff is not permanently hired in Italy, while in Romania, only part of it is permanently hired. So we have to hire technical staff for every rehearsal and representation, which means that it's very difficult to ensure the technical support, plus this entails associated costs. Another issue is related to the normal programming time of in each country. For example, in Romania, the performances start earlier than in Italy, and to this we can add the time zone, which means that we have to reach a compromise for the performance start time. Moreover, we work in a repertoire system in Romania, while Italy, from what I understood, has a predominantly tour-based system, which means that the production should be toured to become maybe sustainable. However, from a technical point of view, the production cannot be toured because it depends on an internet connection that is dedicated and stable, and on lots of technical equipment and conditions. So that's why, unfortunately, apart from doing this performance in the project, it's very hard to sustain after the end of the project. So I think I'm done with the presentation. So I will now give the floor to Paola, who will introduce Isnaba. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Marina. Thanks for this presentation, because I think you express how long was the process behind the single performance, and actually I think it was the first part of Tele-Encounters project was all dedicated to understand the social context that are behind the social issues that the performance take into account. And especially as Industria Scenica, we worked a lot with the local community, and also to literally look for Romanian migrants that could tell us their stories in our country, and their stories about the link they still keep with the original countries. And I think all this preliminary work was very long, but was also very, very interesting. And many topics that the performance tells are coming from true stories, from a real experience of European citizens. Now I want to present you Industria Scenica. And Industria Scenica is a social cooperative, is a social and non-profit enterprise that works in the big area of culture, but Industria Scenica wants to create culture together with the people who are the first beneficiaries of culture. So all the production, all the project and activities that Industria Scenica run in the area of Milan are done with the communities. And for us, Tele-Encounters was a project to do and to share with the community of Vimodrone, and to create not only the performance, but also all the other actions that are part of the project. Isnaba and Ermanno are the co-founder of two of the four co-founders of Industria Scenica. I'm a collaborator. I work with them on specific projects. And this was I think the first adventure of Industria Scenica abroad, together with other associations from different countries, and not only Italian partners. So now I give the floor to Isnaba, that will tell us, who will tell us the stories of the performance from the Italian side.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for the invitation and thank you for being here. And Marina, thank you very much for telling all the story of these last years. I feel also a little bit emotional for the first time, because I remember the first time me and Marina spoke and we decided to be partners in this project. And so it's very interesting how the years passed. Lots of things happened, and now we are here telling what happened. And so I would like to say that Industria Scenica learned a lot, and me as a person, I learned a lot with this project. And I think also that it's a very European project, certainly with all aspects, innovative project, technological project, theatrical project. It really has and can have an impact on the European culture in a near future. And so I think this is very, very positive for us, and it's very positive also for the Europe. It doesn't mean that we didn't have challenges, and that it doesn't mean that everything went well, but I think we have a very nice result. I think we have a very nice baby as project and as performance. And somehow this is signing a mark in the European community. And in fact, the project had several was recognized in several ambience for his innovative capacity. Anyway, I have a presentation to share with you, and I will talk a little bit on the challenges, about the challenges we faced during this production. So I will share my screen. Please tell me if you see everything. Okay. And so I will speak a little bit about the production of a telematic performance that, as Paola was saying, is the first European experience for Industria Scenica. So we had a lot to learn. We could share with Romania and Spain oh, sorry, a second, 222, exactly. Oh yeah, started because it went. Okay, stop. Okay, so we had the experience we could share with all the other partners was cultural, the relationship between culture and community, how a community can be engaged in a cultural process, and we had all to learn about telematic theatre. We have a theatre company that does performance, but we had no experience with telematic performance, so it was a challenge for us, and it was a challenge for our publics, and it was a challenge for our community. As Paolo was saying, we are not a stable theatre. We are somehow stable because we're recognized from the Cultural Ministry, but we are an enterprise also. We are a cultural enterprise based in Vimodrone, that is near Milan, like 20 minutes near Milan. And over there, in that, we have a cultural space where we, just a second, because it's going by himself, so I'm not following. Okay. So Industria Scenica as cultural enterprise, this is what we do. We regenerate disease space, we make theatre performances, we promote cultural production, and we activate co-creation participation processes. We are now, sorry, I have to understand why it's going by itself. Okay. So our role in the project, besides the discussion and the research about this theme, the social theme, so the impact of immigration in the future of the relationships and in the future of the family, was one of the main aspects that interested Industria Scenica. And so besides the discussion, we participated organizing for our community 2 workshops and a reading. So where people decided and discussed about robotic, about theatre, about the relationship between a robotic and theatre, and so on. And these workshops were very intense for our community. We involved seniors and children. And that with these workshops, we designed more or less the idea that we would like to propose and to bring to the performance, but also to the portal, the robot portals we have. And we had as main action the production of a telematic theatre play. That's the result, one of the main results, and that's why we are now talking, because another action of the project was, in fact, dissemination. So, oi, scusate. Okay. Ta-da! Allora, so the challenge for us was to produce a site-specific performance simultaneously in 2 European countries with very important technological aspects, with a limited production time, and obviously, as Marina shared, a limited budget. As Marina said, we all decided, Romania, Spain, and Italy, we decided to not only to participate in an European project, but also to invest in an European project. That means that part of our enterprise budget was dedicated to this project, and this meant to work with the direction of the enterprise, to understand the risks, and to understand also the advantages of participating in a project like this. Because as Marina said, this kind of project cannot be distributed as a normal performance. So we all decided, and we all agreed that we would do a performance 10 times for not doing it again. And so this is quite strange for us. Anyway, it was a good risk to take, and we are very happy, and especially we are very happy with the team we founded to work on this project. Italy and Romania had 2 different casts, but had all, but all the team was 2 directors, 2 scenographers, 2 costumists, and so on. For what concerns Italy, as you can see in the photo, that's lots of people smiling because we choose a great team. This team was the result of a very complex cast, where participated by 120 actors, and so the selection process was quite demanded. Not only, as you can read in the presentation, not only because besides of selecting the actors and the directors for their capacities and skills, we had to consider many other aspects, like the English language, the ability to communicate with technology, their availability of time, because as you saw it before, this kind of production took time. Lots of months engaged in the research work, and lots of time also engaged in rehearsals work. So for us, another key word was obviously great skills. So we are very happy with the team we had, and it was a challenge to find people skilled to do a work like this. And we believe that in Romania and in Italy, we founded people with great skills, and so people with skills in theatre, in video, in technology, and robotic. Our cast, as you can see, our team was made by a cast of actors, a director, a set designer, a costume designer, and a group of 7 technicians, which of them had a very, very specific skill. And maybe another challenge for us, and it's also a key word, is crisis management. Not everything went well during all these months working together. We had to change our cast once for Italy and once for Romania. We had to readjust the calendar. We had to do budget reflections, very serious budget reflections, and we faced some technological challenges, especially in one of the the evenings we performed, we've faced maybe one of the main challenges, that was no connection. So and I'm very happy about the way our team and the project was able to solve the challenge we faced. In fact, we were able to arrive to June when we did our first performance, and it was very emotional to everyone, not only for the staff that work in the project, but also for the public. I think that for the Italian public was absolutely the first time they participated in a telematic performance. And so they were very emotional, not only because some of them were part of the process, so some of them participated in the workshops, some of them followed the rehearsals. And so at June, to be able to see what was happening, and also to concretely see what was happening in Romania at the same time, in real time, was very emotional. We decided then to run the performance for for 9 more times during autumn and winter, and it was a performance with a very different audience. So we had citizens, we had students, we had also some people from the Romanian embassy that decided to come and to understand more about this kind of performance. To promote also this kind of performance and project, we believe that we need a different kind of communication. So if for a telematic performance, we decided to not only to do a normal and common communication with social, through the social networks, or through the normal communication, we decided also to do a participated communication campaign. What does it mean? It means that also the actors and the staff involved in the research would be the face, would be the protagonists of the communication, and also the public. So as you can see here, we did a shooting, and we crossed this kind of during the shooting, we involved some people of the public, some people that participated in the first workshops, the actors, and some of the technicians, and the manifest, the posters, shared the idea of the interaction between the public and between the staff and the robots that were designed by the students and seniors on February 2021. And you can see here some examples. Oops, these are another two. We did two campaigns. One for the presentation of the performance, the other one for the presentation of these webinars, and also for the seminar on May. So, and this is the end. We really believe that this kind of project is a project that answers to the social theme that Industria Scenica follows, that culture creates community and community creates culture. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the webinar. I hope we inspired you.
Thanks, Isnaba. Thank you for this presentation. And actually, one of the I have to say that I'm not a theater person. I'm a social worker. So it impressed me a lot, all the production process that was behind this performance, and especially as Isnaba said, to reach these results, we needed a lot of people with very different skills, not only in strictly say drama or theater skills, but a lot of digital and technological skills that were really important, and was one of the pillars of this performance. And if I can see today, unfortunately, any of the technician apart from Christy can be here at the webinar, but the technicians' roles was really important. And since the production lasted 1 year, at least in Industria Scenica, in the Italian side of the performance, we had also to, and we experienced also changing of technician staff, and this was another challenge. But we really worked with the professional people, and I think what I would like to underline, in case other people wants to start with a telematic theater project, is really to have people that are good and competent in their professions, but also with a lot of enthusiasm. And talking about enthusiasm, I want to introduce you Giovanni Longhin, that is our only male actor. And what I was the first person replying to his emails when he submitted the reply to the call, and submitted his CV and his cover letter. And what struck me was really the enthusiasm. And sorry, Giovanna, I have to say this, that after the interview, he sent us an email saying, I'm available to cut all my hair and my beard and be perfect for you. And really, and this is the kind of enthusiasm that you need when you want to reach these big results that we did. So Giovanni is a professional actor. He graduated from the School of Dramatic Arts Paolo Grassi in Milan in 2010. He attended also a master, Pedagogy Island, we can translate it, but in Italian sounds like Isola della Pedagogia, held by Vasiliev. And in I don't remember which year, but anyway, he co-founded the Teatrul dei Gordi. Is a theater ensemble that actually received also different awards in before the pandemic, the COVID, and now he's together with Teatro dei Gordi, he's promoting different performances. And so, Giovanni.
Yes. Thank you for the enthusiastic presentation. I try to put all my enthusiasm now in my sharing with you. Yes, it's true. I'm now in Paolo Grassi. I hope that the connection here it will be stable. If not, just wave something. I will try to I don't know, to take out the video and this. But all you said, Paola, is true. First, that I work. I mean, we are all, I think, freelance in a way. No, it's not true. Not everybody. But actors in Italy, they are all freelance. But I have co-founded a company that is called the Teatro dei Gordi. That is a company of physical theater, let's say. But physical theater doesn't enter in our conversation because the texts, I mean, what I want to share about our experience together starts from, let's say, the first day of rehearsal and the last performance, even if all this project is much wider. And talking about similarities and differences, for example, this is one big difference. For instance, in Italy, law requires for, let's say that rehearsal can be addressed as proper rehearsals. They have to be at least of 21 days. And let's say that, I don't know in percentage, but a lot of theater shows are made with 21 days of rehearsals. And here for this project, Marina told us that this project took 21 months in the creative process. And this is a big difference And I think that the result shows the path of 21 days. I mean, every word, every detail was really broken pieces. But this is how an artistic process should be. So this is one of the differences, time, this long time. I asked myself a lot, but since COVID, I have to say, since COVID, because since COVID, a lot of different kind of theaters came. Now this webinar is called like Telematic theater, but we can say robotic theater, theater in presence, theater online, streaming theater. So the question is, but what is theater? That we can put all these adjectives, but what can we call theater and what it is not theater, or what requires a specific adjective? So if we start from the basic, from the Peter Brook statement that one people walking in a stage in front of a person that is observing, and these two people, they share the same space, this is theater. So it's somebody who does something in front of another person in a shared space. This should be theater, like the minimum. And I think that what we have to be proud of is that we made theater. We didn't make any adjectivated, this word won't exist, I think, but it was real theater, because, okay, it was with a lot of technology in it, with a lot of, let's say, limits, but I say limit in a positive way. But it was theater because everything was done live. There was nothing that could be substituted with something pre-recorded. I mean, even if there were transitions, but the interaction, it was live, and this made all the difference, because now I'm having some experiences in the theater connected with metaverse now in this moment with headsets, but all the first step in the research are showing that, for example, in this territory, there are a lot of things that could be just substituted with a video sent in streaming. So what is the point in having all this technology of which the result is just something that could be easily done with a video streamed? But this our smart family, not our smart family, was an example of a theater who created let's say a metaphysical shared space in which actors and actresses from different countries could interact and try to change the others. So from this point, the interaction, I will continue. The text that Bianca and Marina composed as I received it and I read it for the first time, it was a text written on the, let's say, in the milieu of situational theater, or let's call it a psychological theater, a family drama. From the acting point of view, when we have this kind of texts, what we do is we try to analyze the circumstances and try to understand what are the, let's say, briefly understand the desires of each character, and how I want to change you and how you want to change me, and our existential battle to try to kill your desire unless you will kill mine. And then we have a change of the fragment. Let's say like this. But and in this territory of art, I saw no differences between, let's say, a normal play, because what was happening in the Italian stage was, let's say, a normal psychological drama. But even in the interaction between, in my case, Aura and Ogmios, that is the name of the robot, the artistic tools were the same. It was the psyche, the words, and the body, how it was possible. So there was no difference that I saw and that I felt from the inside in the creative process. But for this kind of theater, what it is very important usually, but let's say a step back. Every theater show, every creation of a theatrical show is, let's say, it's the founding of a community that from the first day establishes, and then that stay together until the last performance. But our community, it was a little, and this was a difference, that our community were sharing the same space just in the first week that Marina addressed in her panel. Because we, the Italian artistic team, we went in Buzău in Romania for 1 week in the beginning of the creative process. It was in February, and I spent also my birthday in Buzău, and it was fantastic. But for a situational play, a psychological play, where the actors and actresses, their job on stage is to try to change the other person and to be changed for the other person. The fact that you share the time of the day with the people that are also your artistic partners is fundamental, because you continue to observe the people, to observe the details, to touch the tone of the voice, to understand what are the weak points. But I'm not speaking about a psychopathic thing. I'm speaking about really artistic tools. So we had the chance to meet and to know each other just for 1 week in the beginning of the creative process. So looking back, I feel that week it was a kind of full immersion, because we had a lot of things to do, also a lot of artistic tasks that we have to accomplish, like to record video, record audios, do improvisations, text analysis. But in between the lines, we were really observing one each other, try to understand one each other, because we knew that in a little days we wouldn't have the chance to meet for live anymore, and especially with the character of Laura, that was the let's say the not the protagonist, but the character where all the family was around, let's say. But then what happened? That the character of Laura was substituted. And so this, for example, this was a very critical moment from the artistic point of view. Because me, for example, when I played Lorenzo, that's the son-in-law, I think is in English, the son-in-law, the mother of Virginia was Laura, and that was the woman that I met with her stubbornness, but her sensibility, and then this and all the text analysis that we made was really rooted on that person, and that person at a certain moment was there anymore, and then there was Aura. So the relationship that we built with Aura was completely through the medium of the internet as well. All was done by the video. Let's say that at that moment, the structure of the mise-en-scène was more or less sketched. So she was really professional to fit in other people's shoes, let's say, and she really were able to grab the partiture and do it, and then her own way. But for us, let's say that I mean, speaking about myself, the possibility of the nuances that there were with the first actresses that we met for real, then with Aura it was more from the outside, let's say. I don't know if I explained myself. But so then one other let's say, there is this statement that we say the show must go on always, and the audience or also we from the inside, we always said but with this kind of show it's very difficult that the show must go on, because there can be a lot of things happening that can interrupt the show. But again, I would say but the show must go on, never must go on for real, because even in the normal performances, there is always the possibility that a person from the audience just stand up and starts to scream, or I mean, in these telematic performances, there are just much more possibilities that the shows interrupt. But now there is this convention that the audience comes and they stay silent, but even the potential risk that something can go wrong in this agreement that there is between audience and people that is on the stage, this makes the art of theater peculiar, because there is not, for example, this risk in paintings or in sculpture or in cinema, but in theater there is, and there is a lot of examples. I don't know, in Romeo Castellucci's performance, the one that was called Indagine. I mean. There was this the fanatic Catholic fans that they decided that at every performance of the show, they came and they started to sing Christian songs during the performance to interrupt it. Or, for example, I work in a physical theater company, and we use no words, we use just full masks, and it happened twice that we had a full blackout in the theater, and this was not possible to be continued. So there is, so also this is the similarity to normal, let's say, performances, that yes, the show cannot go on always, but yes, of course, in these telematic performances there were much more possibilities of interruption, but everything went fine, incredibly. And one last thing that I want to share is about the technology, of course. The technology from the inside, I felt it as a limit, but again, with the plus meaning, because everything, let's say, every director's suggestion is a limit, in a way, in a limit to the open and anarchic creativity of the actors, and like the proposition of a physical partiture or even to say, here you sit down and here you grab these objects. These are all limits that are given by the director to the actors. And we felt, I felt the technology just as limits, and all this cinematical mise-en-scène that there was because of these two cameras. So we knew that to have this fragment of the dialogue needed to be said sitting there, but with the face like there, because in Romania they were filming and what was appearing. But in a way, this, as always in the creative process of a theatrical show, in the beginning, this was a big limit, but then it became natural. It became natural, and we, from the inside, we learned how to not, what is this word, estraniarsi, to just to step outside, because every time that you find yourself thinking on the stage, you just step outside from the artistic task that is, I want my desire to destroy yours. And every time that you start to think, you detach a little bit from this. But even if in the beginning the detachment was great, was big, then with the going on of the artistic process, we just found ourselves in the situation, and in the end, from the inside, what was the feeling is just that we were in a living room with a big I don't know, a big Zoom call on our back with the mother of my wife always present in my life, as it can be when I'm having dinner now with my wife and we have the smartphone on the water glass and speaking to our parents. And so this technology is part of our lives, and so we can have a family situation with this technology, and even we were able to put it on a stage, and to live artistically, live in it. That's it for now. Then if there will be questions, I will be answer with how did you say, Paola? With
Okay, thank you, Giovanni. Thanks to bring out to a point that was another challenge, that was creating a team despite the distance and despite the technology. And now, because we are a bit late and we still have Camilla and then Smaranda, I will give the floor to Camilla, that is our theater director on the Italian stage. She attended a master in advanced theater practice at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama in London. In 2020 and in 2019, 2021, she presented 2 performances, No Landlady by Greta Capelletti and Notte Bianca by Tayana Motta. In 2020, she worked together with Nicolas Lange to create Archipelagos inside the program Behind the Sud. She also had a different experience as assistant director. So now, Camilla, if you want to tell us your perspective as a director. Thank you.
So actually, my premises were really linked with the end of the speech of Giovanni, because all my reflection about this production is about the limits we found out during this whole process. And actually, I was thinking while Giovanni was talking that this show was like a big example of what is theater in general, when you have to reproduce life with dead things, basically. So we had this massive big dead things that is technology. And we were supposed to reproduce life. And the first thing I want to say was my first experience as in a telematic theater, and in general to connect with Giovanni point of view, let's say. I really struggle with limits, with giving limits to actors. So I'm not the kind of director that say, okay, you go there and you say the sentence over there. This happened really at the end of a whole long process, usually, just because the actor really tells me, I want to know where I have to say this thing, otherwise I wouldn't do that. So it was, from a point of view, it was complicated for me. And I really made the journey from another point of view, because I discovered with this production that really the priority that is always the artistic side for me in this kind of production was not the artistic side, but the priority in order to make work the artistic side was the technology. So everything must be smooth from a technical point of view, because in order to let people, artists, create, basically. But if the technology doesn't work, you can't go on. So usually, otherwise, I would usually say, okay, these technical things wouldn't work, but I will go on with, I mean, the actors will save the scene, or I will find another way to do this. In this case, we couldn't. So that was a big discovery for me. It was very interesting. And because, as Giovanni said, it was a situational play, I found out during the process that this technology was our director's cut, let's say, was our director's point of view. So there was one question in the book, in the question Marina gave me for the book about the whole production and the whole process of the 3 years that you are working together on these telematic projects. That asked, sorry, I got lost. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, the question was, how would you stage this play if there wasn't technology? Well, we would have talked about distance in another ways, or not with the technology. But the technology was our director's point of view, let's say. And that was one of the main discovery for me. So to answer the question, how to do telematic theater, for me, first thing is put some priorities, and the priority is the technology in this case. The second priorities I discover, you have to be sure that work is the contact between, the triangulation between the production, the director, and the other production. So, for example, in the very first part of the production, I didn't used to see the producers so Paola, Ermanno, Isnaba every week, and some problems, some issues came out, and we didn't have a confrontation about them. So those problems grow bigger. So if in any production, the confrontation with the producers, between artistic side and producers, is very important, for this kind of production is even more important, because you have to anticipate every kind of problem that is mainly technological problems most of the time, but not only. We have to change an actress, etc. You have to anticipate them even more than if you are working on a normal, let's say, play. So that was my second, let's say, discover, just to answer the question, how to produce telematic theater. So the second thing I wanted to share with you was about some other question Marina asked me in the book, for the book she's writing. The first question was, what was the most challenging aspect for the rehearsal and presentation process? And I already answered to this. So the most complex, challenging aspect was to balance the artistic side and the technological side. So to be able to have like a whole silent space in order to create, but this whole silent space was based on a functional technology. But the second question she asked me for on this interview was, what was the most pleasant aspect of the rehearsal and presentation process? And for me, the most pleasant aspect was to work together with another director, actually. So being able to share every complexity, every problem with another director that has a point of view that is another point of view, but still goes with your point of view, because I really find a very nice balance with Marina as director. And that was a very positive experience for me, because usually you are exposed to a lot of questions as director, and you answer on your own. I mean, you give yourself answers. And in this case with Marina, we were able to share every kind of problem we had in the process. Even the fact, for example, that the actors didn't met before. So I was thinking about what Giovanni was saying. They never met Aura. And it's true that the evolution of the relationship between the character of Aura, Laura, and Virginia and Giovanni, Lorenzo, they were mediated by us in this case, because we didn't have the time, we didn't have the space to make them interact for real. So Marina and I were in a way forced and invited to take direction to make them interact. And that was something very, very particular that wouldn't happen in another kind of play. In this kind of play, that was necessary to everyone and was very interesting, because we found ourselves wondering about how this character would react, how this character would think in this kind of situation, in order to solve little problems we had in the relationship between the characters. My last point on the two show is about this, the word two, let's say, because what we find, I mean, at the beginning of the process, I wasn't supposed to lead, let's say, a separate direction of the work. So I was supposed to be assistant director to Marina. And what was interesting for me and what I got passionate about was creating a show with my direction that let's say, work together with another show that was written on the same story, but was talking about the same character, but from two points of view. So for me, the biggest challenge was to create an independence for the Italian show from the Romanian show, still based on the same play, still respectful of the point of view of Bianca that wrote the play, and Marina, still respectful of the director point of view of Marina, but to make this character live in Italy independently from the one in Romania. And that was also thanks to Marina, that gave great artistic independence to our team. And was I had this one, let's say, example that we also discussed with Marina some time ago, that is about the ending of the show. And this really represent the whole process for me, because we had a productional issue, let's say. So in the space, in the venue, we couldn't have the whole darkness. So this included the production. And also I wanted to give an end to the character of Giovanni, Lorenzo. So the two artistic and productive issues, let's say, went together to create an alternative ending is not another ending. It's just 3 seconds of different ending from the 2 shows. And we agreed finally that the 2 shows didn't end in the same moment, at the same time, in the same way we had imagined, but in a different way. Still, let's say, still respecting the balance between the 2 stories, and still respecting the play as it was written. I think that's all. Thank you. Sorry for the confusion. I had the presentation, but my computer is not working, so I couldn't open it, and I got lost in a little bit. So sorry for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Camilla. I just want to say that I loved working with Camilla and actually with the whole team. So I would do this process again anytime, or a different show if you're up for another Telematic show. So it was a great experience for me. Now I will introduce Smaranda Găbudeanu, who trained in puppet theater at the National University of Theatre and Film in Bucharest, Romania. But her work is transdisciplinary and she always integrates different practices. So she also focuses on the body, which stands at the core of all her projects. So she's also a dancer and a performer, and she has taken part in numerous productions at the National Dance Center in Bucharest and also in international projects. As an actor, she has acted in public theaters and independent companies, and she has also performed in contemporary art museums. She also creates choreographies for theater and also for film. Her increasing interest in the visual arts, if it was not enough what she was doing, has also led her to an MA in Theory and Practice of the Image at CESI. And she's also the co-founder of PETEC, which is an interdisciplinary platform for production, research, and education in contemporary theater. Smaranda, or the robot, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marina. Actually, I was thinking to start differently, but I must say that one, and I wrote that in the interview also, that one of the, I'd say the most important thing in the whole process was the trust that Marina had. And this was, and the way that that she worked with actors and with me also. Especially when something went wrong, this is important to have this, to have a director that has is constructive, that has a way to put things, to resolve things, not to point out the faults or to, I don't know. So it was a very pleasant and smooth relation, and also about one of the other most enjoyable things in rehearsals was to see from rehearsal to rehearsal, to witness the way the actors in Italy evolved in their work and added new layers. And I had some surprises, and it was very enjoyable to witness this work without knowing what Camilla had told them. So, to see all the little differences and all the nuances they found in their characters, and so I would say yes. I would start by saying that the work with both directors was very inspiring and very efficient. That being said, I will refer also to Giovanni, and I think we are on common grounds here. And about the theater process, and about appreciating that in this time when there is all this talk about post-theater and everything, Marina and Camilla had made a piece that's had its ground on the tradition of theater, and this enabled us to work on our characters, and also using traditional ways. So speaking about the robot character, the method acting is different. Like there was no emotional memory, to have in the back, but I still had to ask the same questions about the why, and to find the goal in the scene. And also Marina had this thing about defining what were the programs of the robot. So the robot would react according to one of its programs. And since it was an AI, and this is the most important thing, that because it gave me the goal of the whole of the character and the drive for all the scenes and the performance. Being an AI, Ogmios had to learn and learned from everything that happens on stage. So if I would have to compare this work with working on with the puppet, because this is an important issue. Like an important thing about the fact that I actually treated Ogmios as a puppet, and would ask myself similar questions. When you handle a puppet, when you're a puppet master, you must find the life of the puppet to make it alive during the play. And there is this thing about finding its breath. So Ogmios didn't have a breath, didn't breathe, and also he wasn't supposed to be alive. He was a robot, and the audience knew he was a robot. It wasn't about animating, putting life into the robot, but it was still this, to find this internal buzz, let's say, because this interest Ogmios had in anything that happened, in everything that happened on stage, and that gave him all the micro movements and all the liveness he had. Some of the challenges I had to put up with, one of the most important was the distance between me and the stage, especially the distance between me and the other actress, because the other distance, and it was in the convention that the other actors were actually away, and it wasn't about overcoming that distance, but the distance between me and the puppet. It was important in terms of exactly the physical contact, because in a normal puppet you transmit through your body, and the motion that you have, even in string puppets, when it's about conducting more, it's about your movement, your hands movement are dissociated from the puppet, but there are still physical parameters. And in our like the weight of the puppets, or the rhythm you have in your body, and you transmit to the puppet. And here you will see, like, just a second. So I had this quite classical, it's a remote controller that, I don't know, it's used also for the cars, the toys that are in, it might have been taken from some toy. And there is all this controlling that somehow dissociated, like yes, from the puppet. And you can see Ogmios here. It's a skeleton of Ogmios. Ogmios, it's a mechanical puppet that also has software in it. So some things were mechanical and others were controlled by programming. And this was also quite difficult thing to work with something that you cannot mend yourself. When I work with a puppet, I can always mend it if it has a fault. But here you can see this unequal movement that when it happened in rehearsal, that was practically nothing to do from my side, and this was very frustrating. But in a way, this was also in times it was a gift, a hidden gift, because I could add, like, if you look here, there is a multitasking that I had to do, like to be attentive to my facial expressions that would be transmitted to the tablet, to the face of the puppet of Ogmios, to control him from with the remote controller, to watch the screen. The screen would, on my screen, there would be the point of view of Ogmios. So Ogmios had a camera on his head, and I would see what Ogmios saw. And also, of course, my naked eye view, that I could control everything from above, from a bird's eye view. And actually, all the fact that from time to time the robot broke, or there was a problem with the tablet, or any other kind of problem, enabled me to learn things layer by layer. Like when everything broke in Ogmios, except from the fact that it would move from place to place, that rehearsal was actually very valuable, because I could, the blocking was now very clear. Everything, that all the places that Ogmios would have to be in the stage, all the trails of Ogmios, and I also could focus for one rehearsal at least. I could focus exclusively on aura, on the words, and on the emotions. So adding things layer by layer was very important. It can be very overwhelming at first, because actually it was very frustrating also for aura. You can see here that you can see the character here, but the distance was not only the distance, but the technology, the fact that all our interactions were mediated by technology. And the delays that the puppet will have, that Ogmios would have, it was a huge challenge in building a relation as between actors, and also to be able to be there with her. And it was very important that Aura was very demanding on this point. She insisted on being there with her. She insisted on presence. And this is also very important in this whole world of theater, telematic theater, and technology. The presence of the actors, and to be there, to actually be there and react to what's happening and to communicate. And well, what should yeah, I would also say that it was also a sort of going to and fro in between this distancing and this immersion, and that it was in a way actually very useful that while I was up there and I could move things as on a chess table, and I could have a distance from what's happening. And for me, as an actor, as a puppet master, this was very interesting and fine to do the fine tuning between being outside and being inside. Between focusing on technology and focusing and actually being present psychologically. Yes, and about the telematic aspect, I would say that at times I actually ignored. I tried to ignore the fact that everything was filmed and broadcasted in some other part. That you need at times to have a solid ground, to be rooted somewhere, and to give yourself very simple tasks. And it was very nice that in our communication with the actors from Italy, I actually had very simple tasks, like when talking with Monica, with the character of Monica, I had to synchronize my my speech, the speed of my speech with her gestures. Or we had a game at one point that we all did together, and we focused on the screen, and we so in a way it was less psychological, the communication with the actors in Italy, but it was very clear. And this is also very important, to have clear tasks. Like to have a solid ground and clear tasks that you can take one by one. And on this web that Marina created, web of little tasks put over maybe on bigger tasks, you get at one point to feel comfortable in this and to be able to create further. And I'm very glad that we actually had enough time. I don't know how it happened, because with all the problems, but it was we had enough time that by the end of by the time of the premiere, I had everything very clear. I was terrified by some aspects, by how I would make them happen, about how not to forget, not to forget my lines, because I knew them perfectly well. I had to know them. I was a robot, but I couldn't make mistakes like this. This is one of the challenges of being a robot, that you cannot be human, and you cannot make mistakes. And if a mistake occurs, you need to make it look like it's an error from the robot. So even like bubbling or saying something, making a mistake while talking, you need to find a way to correct this. So yeah, it's quite a challenge. I can say, to be human enough to be present, human enough so that your partner feel that you are there and they are having a relation with another actor, but to be perfect as well. Yeah, and I actually have a big thank you to tell to everyone, because without a friendly and relaxed atmosphere, and I don't know, without the joy of Giovanni and with my colleagues at the technical desks and the trust of Marina, it is very hard to. I cannot imagine. Like I had this layer. It was everything right, like on human level, on trust level, and from this point on, I could make mistakes and then make them work, and then make other mistakes, and then, I don't know, find a creative way to make it perfect again. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, Smaranda. You are a very brave actress, and actually I think all the team members are extremely brave, especially the actors, to have engaged in such a performance. So you took multiple risks while going on stage, from my point of view. So yeah, very, very brave people. So I would like to ask you to stay a few minutes more, if you agree, because yeah, we can have an extended Q&A if you wish. Of course, if you need to go, I perfectly understand. But in case you have questions, now you have the chance to ask them not only of the speakers, but also of Bianca Trifan and Cristian Iordache, who are also core members of the team. So Bianca holds a BA in Theater Studies, Cultural Management, and Theater Journalism, an MA in Playwriting, and a PhD in Devised Theater from the National University of Theater and Film in Bucharest. And she has held theater and creative workshops at UNATC, at the university, and not only. She has published articles in academic journals. She has participated in national and international conferences in theater pedagogy. And as a playwright, she has worked in various national and international projects, including Telecity, Metropolis, which took place in Milan, Italy, and also Fidelio Is You by Goethe Institute. And Cristian Iordache, also known as Ygreq Interactive, is the creative director, technically speaking, of the performance. And he was the person who created all the applications and who started the process of actually building the robot. And his studio, Ygreq Interactive, is a lab focused on research and development in the visual and physical computing realm. And since the inception of this lab, he and his team have been building diverse projects consisting of interactive platforms for dance and theater shows, audio-visual installations, interactive installations, and light sculptures. And his work has been shown in festivals like Fête de Lumière Lyon and Spotlight Bucharest. Okay, so if you have any questions of any of us, so you see what a wide variety of team members we have, please feel free to ask. Okay, we have a message. I can't see it. Yes, of course, Manuela. You can speak or you can write. It's up to you. The future of telematic theater. Okay, I know what to say, but maybe other people would like to speak. Bianca, what's the future of telematic theater?
Why me? Okay, I'm not sure actually because it's new to me. But in Romania, that's a tricky question because usually we don't have the money. Like, this is the big problem. We don't have the money. And secondly, the artists are pretty scared about this. So maybe we won't see many telematic performances in Romania, but I think because of this period of time when the technology is part of our life, maybe some other artists will join and make possible some other projects like our big project. I hope so, but I'm not sure. Maybe Marina can tell us more about telematic theater.
Thank you, Bianca. Anyone else? Christy, what's the future of telematic theater? Are you there, Christy? From a technological point of view, what's the future?
Just a second. Okay, I think I got it. Hello. From a technological point. So this is right off the bat, let's say. From my point of view right now, like, I mean, if you look at the history of telematic theater, it was a kind of theater on top of technology. I mean, it was using all the new technologies available at that time, and of course, things evolved during the years, and I'm guessing that, I mean, in a way, like, people started to get more familiar. I mean, normal people, like all the audience, started to get more comfortable with all this idea of telepresence. So because of this, and also, of course, the new history, I mean, the recent history, sorry, like related to COVID and what happened afterwards, meaning there was an explosion of telepresence theater. I don't know, I wouldn't call them telematic. I don't know.
Yes, they are telematic, most of them.
Okay, yeah. So also that period created, from my point of view, a bit of a saturation, because actually people didn't have any other possibilities to do theater other than through telepresence. So in a way, it kind of felt like an explosion and a good thing. And then because of the saturation, the interest diminished a bit. So it's, and also we can also speak about everything related to the metaverse. That that actually, from what I learned during my studies, like studying the subject, is also like in a bit of a bubble. So it exploded in 2021, 2022, and now actually it rose and it exploded at the end of 2022. So it's questionable, let's say. I mean, because of this. So it's, like I said at the beginning, it's always about using, from my point of view, it's always about using the latest technology. So we will see how the technology will evolve, and depending on this, how the telematic theater will adopt new technologies, but also based on the related points I mentioned. So yeah, this is what I have to say.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the future lies with hybrid performances that happen physically and also are interlinked online. So not necessarily exclusively online performances. And if they are exclusively online, then they will happen in the metaverse, because just the Zoom performance indeed has reached its saturation. Like, you can't attain a very, let's say, nice level at an aesthetic dimension, you know. I mean, many people have explored Zoom performance during the pandemic, but still the aesthetic is a bit do-it-yourself in most cases. So I think we will go towards more polished telematic theater in the future, using technologies such as AI-based streaming. And Christine knows what I'm talking about, but yeah.
I would also like to add something else. There is this, from what I observed, I believe there is this there is a recent interest in everything related to interaction in a way. I mean, kind of like not experiencing something only as an observer, but also to interact with what you observe. So even in theater, I'm guessing there are there are more and more plays where the spectator is kind of like one of the actors, at least one of the extras, let's say, or even interacting as a main actor. Or so, because you see this in kind of like in every type of media where they are trying to introduce interactive elements, let's say, interaction elements. So maybe also from this point of view, telematic theater will add these features where you not only observe via Zoom or YouTube or whatever, but also interact in some way or another. This is why I am saying that we will see what technology will bring us, because except for VR, where you kind of have extra things to interact with, for now, because of this distance between, well, like, let's say you have the show in Bucharest and the public is in, I don't know, San Francisco. Yeah, how do you actually get to interact, you know? Yeah, so there are some solutions, but for sure we will wait for other elements related to this, to interacting. Yeah.
Thank you, Cristi. Isnaba.
Well, I think that there's a future for telematic theatre, and also because people will be or are becoming more telematic. So, and since theatre tells about life, everyday stories and people's lives, and as we saw in the story we told through this performance, families will become more telematic. So probably my kids will live in another country and we will communicate it through a wall or through hologram and so on. And so theatre, in this case, in our case, in advance, proposed a community solution, a communication solution, an interaction solution for the future. And so I really believe that telematic theatre could be an answer to the performance of the future. And to families and to houses, as I said on the other time, I think with this performance we are proposing inputs, we are giving inputs not only to theatre research, but also to the other aspects of our life. Family aspects, relationship aspects, architecture aspects, lots of things that change the way that people are living. And in this direction, I also think that theatre has a great responsibility on the proposal that is putting on the market. On the other side, it's a very expensive research, because exactly as Cristi was telling, it means lots of technology. It's not like, okay, I will put a webcam here. It's lots of technology and high-level technology. And so this means that not everyone can participate and not everyone can do this kind of research. And at the other question is, okay, there's a future for telematic theatre, for what concerns research, but we have to also ask ourselves, is there a possibility of distribution of this kind of performance? Because this is the main handicap of this, the work we are doing, because we all invested a lot, not only economically, but also emotionally, on work, in skills, in technology, and so on. But we all knew, and this was the agreement we had, this performance now cannot be distributed anywhere else, because we don't have anywhere else this kind of conditions we had to do this kind of performance. Maybe in a few years, all the theatre will have the same kind of connection we'll have, many other theaters will have different kinds of connection technology and so on. And so distributing a performance like this would be easier, even if a telematic performance means also to rethink distribution, because it's not a tournée. Like maybe we won't need a tournée to distribute a telematic performance. So I really think there's a future. When we wrote the project on 2019, we didn't imagine that everyone would experience themselves in streaming. And in the first day we started the first partners meeting, Ermanno, my colleague, wouldn't come because he had COVID. So it was the first, like it was that.
We lost you, Isnaba. You're blocked.
Okay, maybe I'm having some problem connection.
Yeah, now we can hear you. Now
okay.
We can.
Okay, sorry. I was just saying that, just to conclusion, that probably there's a future for telematic theatre. I don't know if we can measure how much time we would need and how many resources we will need. The thing I learned is that we need lots of skills, because it's not a research. Telematic theatre is not only done by theatre people. Telematic theatre will have a future if also people involved in robotica, people involved in roboetica, people involved in science will believe in this kind of project, as happened with us.
Thank you, Isnaba. Smaranda.
Isnaba inspired me when she talked about a telematic way of living, like of being away from friends or family. And I was thinking that in a future, like the theater might regain some of its role of bringing people together in terms of me and my brothers that's in Sweden might go to the same piece, like a telematic piece that happens in Romania and Sweden, and we will watch it together, and we will be physically, in a way, to the same, like a new way of being there, actually, a new way of having the experience.
Absolutely, and that's why I think the future is hybrid, and the future has already started to happen. In those countries where there are several venues that have been interconnected, as I mentioned during my last presentation. So, for example, in Canada or in the north of Europe. So as long as theaters will have stable technologies and high-speed internet connections, I think the internet will be increasingly used. That's my feeling. And also, the more we will be able to simulate physical presence via technology, for example, with digital humans that reproduce exactly our appearance, the more we will be able to play from a distance. Anyone else who would like to answer this question, or maybe other questions that might come up? If not, I would just like to say thank you. And it was
Marina?
Yes, Cristi.
I believe
yes.
I saw some questions asked by other people, maybe.
No, I think I replied.
Okay.
I replied to Manuela's question. Do you have other similar projects in sight? But maybe Isnaba, Paola, Camilla, Giovanni, do you have any other telematic projects in sight so far?
No, we have to start to work on the new project, on the new European project, probably.
Yeah.
But one day.
From what?
Yeah.
But it will be at least a €1 million project.
Yeah, we will scale to large scale projects. If anyone has suggestions or partnerships to suggest, we can start to think about it. We will start. In fact, we have a proposal from Sardinia that they would like to start to work on telematic theater, for example. And as Fiorella was saying last week, she would like to start to work more on our project and to create some partnership with Scuola di Robotica for an European program. So we don't have anything concrete now, I think, because this is the first step of, for us, is our first step. For you, it's your second step. So for Industria Scenica is a first step, but for Teatro di Busao, it's the second step on this kind of experience. So probably we have to design all the scale.
So there are some new guidelines from the European Union for the new years. So it's not technology, yes. What it is?
No, it's also technology. It's not. Yes. Well, something changed, as Marina was saying, the amount of co-financing. So because there's the change of program. Well, but maybe we can, if it's so interesting for everyone, maybe we can agree and decide if we can do a webinar on creative European program, like a brainstorm of projection to understand which road to follow.
Yeah, and actually in each country there's a Creative Europe desk that you can go to find out more information about the program, and they also assist you in writing the project application. Like I received major help from the Creative Europe desk in Romania. So yeah, if you're interested in accessing these funds, go for the Creative Europe desks. Anyone else would like to add anything? Then thank you very much. It was a very pleasant reunion. It really felt like a family reunion. And don't forget that we also have a workshop that will focus on acting via a telematic connection, and also acting with the robot, that will be controlled both from Romania and from Italy. So we're working on improving the robot and making it controllable via the internet. So it will be quite a challenge and quite a lot of fun. So in case you want to take part, just register for the workshop. Okay, thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.